Prime Minister Anthony Albanese says Russian President Vladimir Putin is responsible for Alexei Navalny's death. Some 400 mourners have been detained while paying tribute to Putin's most fiercest rival. Let's go to Curtin University's Dean of Global Future, Joe Siracusa. Joe, good to see you. Thanks for your time again. So let's give us your take. Who killed Alexei Navalny?
Good morning, Pete. Well, the ultimate order must have come from the Kremlin and from Vladimir Putin. Now, look, this Navalny guy, I've been following his career, and he's a very brave opposition figure. He had a chance to stay in Germany after he was poisoned once, and he went back to stand up to these people. And he was the sort of the focal point of the opposition movement, and now he's gone. Now, once you get caught, of course, in the penal system in Russia, and he's literally in a gulag out next to the Arctic Circle, you're going to die anyway. So in a very short period of time, he was nailed with 19-year sentence, and we are all quite surprised at what happened. And of course, it's becoming a galvanizing point in the West. President Biden has made claims that this is connected to the kind of aggression that Putin is committing in Ukraine. So he's tying it all together. And Kamala Harris was there with Navalny's wife at the Munich Security Conference. So it's becoming that kind of rallying point. Will it have a lasting effect? I don't think so. America's not going to go to war over Navalny, nor is Australia or anybody else. But I'll tell you what, it's a very sad day when somebody who has the guts to stand up is murdered and in cold blood, and there's nothing you can do about it.
It's not just that. I mean, yeah, well, it is. I mean, there's not just Navalny, but there's also Yevgeny Prigozhin. I mean, which wasn't so long ago now. It's just an example of Putin and how ruthless he is, just taking out anyone who he sees an opponent to basically clear the decks for his next election win.
Well, Pete, I grew up with all kinds of gangster stories in Chicago, New York, and things like that. This is gangster diplomacy. You don't like somebody, you eliminate them. We in the West, we sometimes play softball. We don't realize that in other places they play hardball, and we don't know the lengths to which people will go. Yes, I think Putin is ruthless, and in America, everybody except Donald Trump said something about it. Trump just simply ignored it and decided to launch his golden sneakers at $500 a pop.
Would you? I can imagine you wearing a pair of those, Joe.
Not really.
I saw that yesterday. The gold sneakers with the T on the side. I thought, you got to give it to the guy. He can sell.
Well, I'll tell you what. I also grew up with legends about P.T. Barnum. The story about this. There's always a sucker board every minute. And Trump had a hell of a week. He got hit with $83 million defamations. Then he had a civil fine of $355 million. His week gets worse and worse and worse. And at the end of it, he's selling sneakers. I mean, this guy has got chutzpah, if nothing else.
Yeah.
So, it's a hell of a week.
No, that's true. But also, I mean, just to close on Putin, I mean, look, clearly the sanctions from the war haven't done him any trouble, right? He's clearly not concerned by Western leaders. At the moment, the US is squabbling over funding for Ukraine, so the tide, perhaps he thinks, is turning in Russia's favour in the war. He's taking out his opponents. I mean, it's just a show of how things have turned for him and the strength that that Putin has over the West.
Well, it shows us several things, Pete, and you're quite right. The sanctions regime has failed. If anything, Russia has got renewed economic strength by relying on itself and new friends, as a matter of fact. So sanctions don't work, and he's not worried. Europe is divided about what Donald Trump or anybody else is going to do in the future, and that's one of his goals too. And let's be frank about it. Ukraine is on life support. Even if they get any more ammunition from the United States, they're still going to have to work out some kind of departure this year or some kind of diplomatic solution. So,
what do you think that is?
Won everything.
I mean, I got to go, Joe, but what? Just quickly, what's the solution? A carve-up? I mean, the only solution would be to give him all of Ukraine, wouldn't it?
No, I think Putin is going to take what he could have taken a year and a half ago. That is, he wanted the Donbass area. He wants to make sure Crimea. My beef with with Zelensky is he probably could have had the same deal, 2 years ago, and he's going to suffer 500,000 casualties and take what he's got coming. So it's all a very sad case. But I'll tell you what, in the real world, people, they play hard. And so we have to get used to this. This is the way of the future.
True. Joe, good to see you as always.